All right, hey guys. I'm John Chu. I'm the CEO and founder of Koality. And with me here on stage is my good friend and co-founder, Jordan Potter. And I'm really happy today to bring you a software testing platform that's going to allow you to unleash your engineers and radically change the way that they actually write software. So let me take you back to your morning commute here for a second. We've all done this. You get into your car, you hear the familiar rumble of the engine, and you start driving, and you just hit a wall of vehicles, right? I mean, it's red taillights as far as the eye can see. You're going inches when you could be going miles, and it's just really frustrating. And this is actually what engineers feel on a day-to-day basis. My team and I, we're all from Palantir Technologies, and when we were there, we experienced all the normal pains you get in a fast-moving, fast-growing software company. So there's three that really stand out here, but our development environments never matched up with our production environments. And what that means for us is that we end up going down rabbit holes, chasing bugs that we really didn't want to fix and really shouldn't have had to. So it's a giant waste of time. Testing times. Testing took forever. And when your tests take a long time to run, your engineers essentially are not doing work, and they end up sitting there, twiddling their thumbs, and just waiting for things to happen. That's not very productive. And finally, build breaks. We all know about build breaks. When a build break happens, your entire team is blocked from doing work, and your engineers end up raging. They get very angry. And this clearly isn't good for productivity. It makes everyone unhappy, and your team just doesn't get anything done. And these problems have been looked at in the past, right? I mean, we started with manual QA. Then you get agile programming. You get test-driven development. And today, we're bringing you the next step in this evolution, which is the Koality platform. So let me show you how this is going to look when it's deployed on-site behind your firewall at your company. So on the left here, we have changes that engineers are pushing. And in the center, we have stages of that change. So Jordan here is going to make a push, and we'll see what happens. So Koality has just picked up the change. And what it actually does at this point is it takes that change and it holds it in a limbo state. So this first isolates it from all the other engineers on his team. What it then does next is it spins up multiple replicas of Jordan's production environment in a cloud system of his choosing. So yes, that can be behind your firewall. And what that also means is every single change is tested in something that's like production, so you don't have to worry about mismatching environments. What Koality then will do is it'll chunk up your automation test suite, and it'll just throw it at these replicas in parallel. And we see that happening right here with the spinners. In this example, we only go up to 5-way, but there's nothing stopping you from going to 1,000-way parallelization. And that's like if you're stuck in traffic, throwing up multiple lanes and letting cars just flow through. So this gives the test really fast turnaround time, and it means devs don't have to wait for test. And we see here that Jordan actually would have broken the build. He would have blocked the rest of his team from doing work. But Koality, I mentioned, has this in a limbo state, in isolation. So nobody else has actually seen this change. The build is not broken. And Koality has just prevented a bunch of engineers from being very angry. So let's talk about hiring here for a second. I mean, we've all tried this, right? Finding talent is very hard. We've tried recruiters. We've tried referral bonuses. And your engineers do these tech interviews, and they'd rather actually be writing code. And this is a very difficult problem. Instead of looking externally at the problem, perhaps we should turn to the engineers we already have and look internally. So Koality can make your development team 20% more effective. And just to put that in scope, right? That means if you have a team of 30 engineers, that's 6 devs you're getting for free. You don't have to train them. You don't have to hire them. You don't have to ramp them up to speed. That's over $1 million in value a year, and they hit the ground running because they already know what they're doing. And to give you an idea of just how effective Koality is, this is some real-world data from real-world customers. As you can see, after Koality, test times are dramatically reduced, and build breaks are actually non-existent. And the best part about all this, too, is engineering is like a very interesting field, right? As engineers, we actually like our jobs. So if you make us happier, or if you make us more effective, you make us much, much happier. It's better than actually buying us free food. And speaking of which, Google and Facebook, these guys have actually spent millions of dollars and have these large internal engineering teams building and maintaining solutions to the exact problem that Koality has solved and is productizing. And the reason they did this was back in the day when they were founded, they looked around and there was nothing they could buy. So they had to build. Today's a different era. You can now buy the quality product, which is why all of these guys have purchased the product from us. They didn't have millions of dollars to spend, right? And they didn't have engineers to just throw around. They want their engineers working on their problems, moving their companies forward. And we deliver real value, which is why all of these deals are actually on track to becoming six-figure deals. So yeah, it's a huge market, guys. There's 20 million engineers worldwide. It's one of the fastest growing occupations in the world. And as a company, we've really only begun to scratch the surface of what we can do here. So check us out at qualitycode.com. Unleash your engineers and really see, like, get those free devs of yours today. Thank you.
All right. Great job. Judges?
I want to ask, are you intending to sell this to companies or to individual engineers? Because your market slide at the end said there's 20 million engineers.
Yeah, so we're actually planning on selling this to companies themselves. And the place where we focus is growth and enterprise. And the reason is because this is a problem of friction, right? So if you have like 2 devs, your pain is not quite as large as if you have 30, which is why, like, if you looked at that customer slide, most of those teams have at least 15 engineers there, and then one of them has like 100. Got it.
How did you compute the 20% more effective stat?
Yeah, so there's actually a lot of research out there that shows with the right testing model, you can get 94% increase. But we only took on the low-hanging fruit, and the way we did this was we looked around at the customers we had, we did some case studies, and that was the average number that was given back to us.
Okay.
How do you think through the metrics when you push a build into production around like performance and availability, things that are beyond just functional tests that you're running?
So for us, the system actually works by checking for binary checks. So it goes through when it does that push. You can put test in there, and that's like pass or fail, right? But you can also just put any binary check in there. So if you have some kind of perf test that you want to do a binary check, you can do that. Although to answer your question, I think what you're asking, those are actually production replicas. That's not actually your production system.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so if you break that, it's perfectly fine because your site's not going down, right? I mean, after it goes through production replicas, you can actually like send it off to production.
If there are other pieces of the system that require talking to one of those production boxes that you're testing on, do you have to alter a DNS or something to point to the replica?
So we give you really heavy flexibility. You actually, this is like your cloud system, so you have pseudo access to these boxes. You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
A lot of people actually just run their Chef or Puppet scripts there. And the cool part too is if something breaks, you can click a button and it just like spawns up your replica and like gives you access to it, so you can just like play with it on the spot, which is really nice.
I want to go back to the question about the market size and the business model. How do you envision pricing the product?
Yeah, so we're currently charging per seat, and on average, it's about $30 an engineer per month. Although clearly for the smaller guys, right, it's going to be cheaper, and for the larger enterprise deals, it's going to be a little more expensive.
And is there a company out there or product or service out there that you'd say is a comparable, to get a sense of, because I'm trying to get my arms around the market size, 20 million engineers, I don't think, they're all working at companies that are prospective customers of yours.
Well, so this is just also, just to talk about the market size, right? This is the first step. So there's a lot you can do to make engineers more productive. And if you get that 94%, that's huge, right? We've only taken on the first step, which is low-hanging fruit, so software testing. There's much more you can do on top of that. You can do like code quality metrics, actual static analysis of code. You can move into bug tracking, so that would be like going towards Atlassian and what they do. But a similar company, there's actually a few startups in this space that are doing similar things, such as Circle CI. And the main difference here is we have a focus on the larger companies, so the growth and the enterprise ones, where they have a focus on the small startups. So we actually will interop with your cloud and conform to your security constrictions and give you that flexibility to really recreate your prod environment, whereas they are trying to cater to everyone. So it's hosted because startups don't care if your code's in the cloud, and the startups don't care if those companies have their code. And also they shoehorn you into very specific like versions of packages and whatnot because like the startups tend not to need that type of flexibility.
So you said, Dropbox you said is a customer, and they told us just earlier they have 400 employees. So if they bought this for all their employees, which they're not all engineers, but that would be about $12,000 a month based on the pricing you're saying?
Actually, it's much higher than that. And Mailbox will get it at some point. We've already been talking to your engineers.
Well, but my question is, how many companies out there are there that will be spending that much money? How much is the total dollar size of the market that you think you can get?
So when looking at this, there's a few companies in like the like dev productivity or engineering space that are worth like $1 billion, right? So Atlassian is a good example of that. But testing is growing very rapidly. So the way we look at it, there's a paper, I think it's by IDC, that says the total addressable market is growing very quickly, and it's like around 1.1 billion total right now. And you can get that number based on, so there's like 20 million devs. How many of them actually work in like a large software, or like a software company that we can actually target? So let's say it's like, I don't know, 25%. So you take 25%, and that's what, 5? So 5 million, and then on average, like $30 a user a month. And you get, like, I'm not going to do the math right here, but you get somewhere close to that $1 billion.
Are you finding with your customers that you're either replacing an existing product, or is this augmenting what they already have?
Some of them augment. Some of them actually replace an existing product.
And what products are you replacing?
Generally, internal tools that they've built themselves. So there's like a high maintenance cost to the tools that you'll build yourself. And companies want their engineers like working on their own stuff, because first, you're wasting the engineer, and second, there's that opportunity cost of they could be working on something else and moving that company forward. So Asana is actually a good example. They had an internal tool, and they're switching off of it because like they don't want to maintain it. And you will see that people actually build internal tools on top of things like Jenkins too. So.
Cool. How long does it take to get set up for like an average implementation time?
So it depends on how clean the company script is. So sometimes like you'll go to a company and the engineer themselves is like, great, I'd like to set this up, but I don't even know how to set up my own production environment, right? And that takes a bit of time. But once they figure all of that stuff up, it's actually really simple. It's like a 30-line YAML script in general.
So time-wise, like?
It should be just like a couple hours. It could take up to a day depending on how complex your script is.
Great. That's quality. We're out of time, but great job, you guys.
Cool. Thank you.